My name is Amy Lovato, and I was inspired to do a makeup design from Chapter 22. In order to do a more complete makeup design for this project, I looked back through the previous chapters and found a good quote from Chapter 21 that Renfield says, "When Mrs. Harker came in to see me this afternoon, she wasn't the same. It was like tea after the teapot had been watered. I didn't know that she was here till she spoke, and she didn't look the same. I don't care for pale people. I like them with lots of blood in them, and hers had all seemed to have run out. I didn't think of it at the time, but when she went away, I began to think, and it made me mad to know that he had been taking the life out of her." So I knew from this description that I needed to go super pale with her, so I took the lightest foundation I had and used that as a base layer. It's breakfast time after a long night. In the previous chapter, they had discovered Dracula with Mina, and she had been terrified, so I wanted to make sure she had some dark shadows underneath her eyes because she probably didn't get much sleep. She's scared and pale, so I took some purples and reds and deepened the already deep shadows under my eyes. I did a tiny bit of blush on the cheeks, but not much, just to give a little definition, and used a little bit of gray to make them look a little hollowed out. Since we know she's been bitten, I wanted to be sure to include the bite marks on her neck, so I used liquid latex and then highlighted it with some dark red, a little bit of purple, and a tiny bit of white to show the pierce marks on her neck. But the real moment I wanted to capture with the makeup design was when Van Helsing decides to protect Mina with a holy wafer. Van Helsing says, "But before we go, let me see you armed against personal attack. I have myself, since you came down, prepared your chambers by the placing of things of which we know, so that he may not enter. Now, let me guard yourself. On your forehead, I touch this piece of sacred wafer, in the name of the Father and the Son, and..." There was a fearful scream which almost froze our hearts to hear. As he had placed the wafer on Mina's forehead, it had seared it, had burned into the flesh as though it had been a piece of white-hot metal. So in order to attain this look, I needed the liquid latex again, and luckily I have a massive bottle because I use it sometimes as tattoo cover-up. So I had created these wafers for a visual effect, and I used one of the wafers and held it up to my forehead, lined the outline with liquid latex to give it a really good ridge, like a really good burn. Then I took a stippling sponge and dipped it in the latex for the center to give it kind of a really gnarled look. I had to wait for it to dry, then I was able to apply reds, a little bit of whites, and then I had some fake blood that I just kind of dabbled on. I wanted to give it like that oozing look of a fresh wound, so I took some lip gloss that I had and I just kind of gently smeared it over the top in order to give it a really oozing look. And this is the final product. I wound up removing some of the red, rubbing some of the stuff away in order to make it look a little lighter and a little more realistic. So you see two very different burns in the photos. If it was to be seen on stage, from a distance I would want the darker red, so it would pop in the audience and really be visible. But if it was a film, I would like the lighter, and I personally liked the lighter look for the up-close photos. And that's it for my entry, my makeup design for Chapter 22, the one in which Mina Harker gets burned by a holy wafer. Thanks for watching.